Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another game in the Lakewood League of Legends tournament. Today, I'm going to be one of your casters. My name is Ian Cyrus Clepstone, and I'm joined by my good friend
Raven. Nice to meet you all.
Hope everyone's having a wonderful day so far, and we're getting right into draft phase with Colorado School of Mines and the CU refugees. First bands have already gone through.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. This is more of a personal anecdote. It's just nice to think about it. Colorado School of Mines, the first ever time I left my little hometown, that's the first place I ever went for my first ever Smash tournament.
Interesting. I actually have a bit of a personal connection myself. Both my aunt and uncle are graduates. I've gone to visit the campus, and it's really cool to see that they have an esports program. It's a really neat thing to see as somebody who's trying to help make this scene grow, especially out here in Colorado. It's such a big thing on the West Coast that seeing opportunities like these really is just such a treat. But I do want to get down to brass tacks and start talking about some of these bands. On the blue side for School of Mines, we have seen Belveth, Jinx, and Talia, with the CU refugees banning Vi, Maokai, and Garen. First pick is going to be Ari.
Ari, starting off, and what role is so for those who don't know, I'm very new to League, and I'm learning as I'm going. What role is Ari going to take? Top, mid?
So Ari's going to be traditionally mid laner. It's not that picks can't be flexed, but Ari very rarely sees flex anywhere else. I'm going to imagine this is a comfort pick. With new items, Ari's seen some pretty strong patches, especially with things like Malignance being so popular, giving that ultimate CDR as well as the extra burn and magic reduction or magic resist reduction. But CU is just going to answer by picking their bot lane straight away. It's going to be that Kai'Sa Nautilus. Nautilus super popular right now. Really just a huge cornerstone, a pillar rather of lots of team comps. Lots of engage. He has the ability to kind of disengage himself if he really needs to. He can kind of play Spider-Man with those walls. But really the pick just has a lot of beefiness. It offers a really easy way to engage. You get hooks, you get point and click. You can do just about anything with the champion, and should help make up for Kai'Sa's short range as well as apply some plasma stacks. The Mines bot lane, however, is going to be Smolder and Renata. Definitely more of a late game focus here.
I noticed again, it's still new, so Smolder's a relatively new character, isn't it?
Yes, Smolder is the latest release. I believe we're playing on post nerf, so his execute is now going to be active at 275 stacks as opposed to 225 as it was before. But Smolder's been a really interesting one because he obviously has this really powerful late game scaling, but getting through that early game is kind of a challenge sometimes. Lots of what I've seen with Smolder is lane dominant supports, which it's not to say that Renata isn't. I would say she's more matchup dependent. Renata is going to help enable him a lot further, and I think we'll see a rougher early game from the School of Mines bot lane. But if they can manage to make it out okay, I think Smolder is going to be the one taking over the game, and it's just going to be a pretty big wash. CU refugees did pick their jungler. Nocturne going to have some relatively global presence. That first level of the ultimate at level 6 is going to be a little short range, but is going to be some pretty powerful ganks. I expect we'll see some power farming, probably some early grubs, just to make sure that fast 6 happens. And we are in the second phase of bans. Refugees are banning out Volibear, followed by the Orianna from School of Mines. We're looking to get those matchups out for picks that haven't been made yet, especially from refugees where they're banning Volibear and Jax. They're specifically banning for their top laner, who should be getting counter pick here as that very last pick of the draft.
So, School of Mines hasn't picked the jungle yet, have they?
No, they have not.
Because I recognize Nocturne as a jungle, but I didn't recognize Renata as a jungle. So I wanted to make sure that I'm not messing it up, because it's not inherently the same pattern.
Sure. We're not forced to draft in order of our roles, so we can get really creative with that kind of stuff. Coming out into the first pick of round 2, though, we are going to see a Nico hover from the refugees. Orianna and Hui were banned, both pretty powerful picks in their own right. Nico, always solid as well. Really good to help follow up, and can, depending on how you find the angle, can be the engage for the team. But I imagine she'll be following up more on the Nocturne and the Nautilus. This should make for pretty easy engages for the side of CU refugees. Matchup-wise, not too familiar. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a bit of a skill matchup. Ari's range champion, Nico's a shorter range champion, but both will have the ability to push out waves as they see fit. Sejuani is going to be the lock for the School of Mines jungle, excuse me, and then followed by Ornn, which is going to be a really safe top lane pick. Scales very well, is going to help, especially with that Smolder. You know, we're really looking at Smolder as the star of the show for School of Mines. The other player I'd keep an eye on here is probably the Ahri, in terms of who's going to be able to carry. Ahri's probably going to be most of the damage throughout the game until Smolder hits those crucial breakpoints for his stacks, and then we're just going to start seeing dragons go flying everywhere. It's going to be fire, it's going to be death, it's going to be brimstone and destruction, and Smolder's probably just going to win the game at that point. The final pick for the refugees is going to be Olaf, though. Olaf will be able to provide some pretty heavy pressure on Ornn early, as well as ignore almost all of Ornn's kit with his level 6. He'll be unstoppable, no CC going on there. He'll be able to take all the damage in the world, but he'll just be wailing on Ornn until Ornn topples.
So who is the Colorado School Mines like jungle in this bit? Is it Ornn?
No, it's actually going to be Sejuani. Sejuani is an interesting pick here. Sejuani has been a long-standing tank jungle pick. Really great engages with her R. She throws out that big icy flail, stuns a target, and then has that nice big slow area to help with any follow-up. The reason why I'm a little curious about this one is because I'm a big fan of picking Sejuani with more synergistic lane picks, just because she behaves similarly to Kai'Sa, where her E is a 4-stack ability. When she gets 4 stacks on a target, she can point and click, and it's a stun.
Okay.
We love point and click CC, makes things very, very easy. But where Sejuani has this synergy is friendly melee champions can also apply stacks of her E on the targets.
I feel. Sorry, reiterate that one more time.
Yeah. So we're looking at a 4-stack ability with her E. She can apply her own stacks with her own auto attacks and abilities, but melee champions can also apply stacks for her. They cannot apply the stun for her, though. They can just help her get there. But what we're looking at here. What we're looking at here is some kind of not necessarily anti-synergy, but Sejuani is going to have the most powerful ganks, in my opinion, with Ornn, because it's easy to layer up that crowd control and really get things started. But Olaf, especially after level 6, is just going to be able to ignore it entirely.
So is Ornn the ADC for Colorado School Mines?
No, Ornn's gonna be their top laner. He's gonna be that pillar of strength and that real rock in the top lane. He's just gonna have a harder matchup against Olaf, because Olaf typically has lots of strong early game presence. Ornn is usually pretty content to just sit there and farm, and past his level 14, he can actually upgrade certain items to give more stats. So it's providing more gold value across the team. It's not necessarily a direct cash influx, so to speak. But when your 50 armor item becomes a 60 armor item with 300 extra health and maybe a little bit extra cooldown, it's going to be a pretty big deal, especially once you hit those later stages of the games where he can start handing them out to everyone, just like he's on the Oprah show.
Yes. All right then. Honestly, what? So again, I feel I'm going to be reiterating this a lot more. What are we waiting for right now? Bans are done. Characters are picked. We don't have to stage select. What are we waiting for at this moment?
I believe we're waiting on spectator delay.
Just us, huh?
Because we are spectating through the regular client, there is a 3-minute spectator delay, so it is a really great opportunity to give us a chance to go over, some of what the game plans might be.
Okay. Oh.
And just get a general idea of how we think this game is going to go. It's a great time for speculation. Speaking of speculating, I think that if refugees get an early lead, to win the game, they're going to have to close the game earlier, because if School of Mines is allowed to scale with the Ornn and Smolder specifically, they are going to roll, and there's really not a whole lot that the refugees will be able to do about it unless there's a win condition here, right? And it all revolves around Smolder. Smolder is the pièce de résistance. He is the crux. He is the sole binding factor in the School of Mines strategy, because they're really aiming to make this game a 30-minute plus game, a 30-plus minute game, where Smolder's got his core, he's got his stacks, he's got an Ornn item, he has a beefy front line, he's got a free extra life from Renata, for crying out loud. Right. And even if he does get dove by, the Noct Olaf, even the Kai'Sa with Killer Instinct, driving the back line. Matter because unless they can blow him up not once but twice, there's not much they're going to be able to do.
So, in a sense, the Colorado School Mines picks are made to invite the refugees to say, if you want to beat us, take the game early and push hard and be aggressive, because if you don't in the later stages, there's no way you're going to beat us.
Absolutely. I 100% think that's how this game is going to go. Anyone who's played a match against Smolder will know that, you'll be sitting here, it's like, oh, wow, bot lane was super easy. Oh, he's 0-10. Wow, he's really not doing a whole lot. He's fine. We'll just farm or whatever. And then all of a sudden he'll come out at 30 minutes and you'll just hear Dawn of the Final Day, and all of a sudden you'll hear him call for Mom. Mom will take half your health. Smolder will start spitting fire left and right, and all of a sudden it's explosions behind you, it's explosions in front of you, it's explosions on the guy next to you, and all of a sudden you hear the screams of destruction, the screams of death. Screams of Smolder's execute. He's hit that crucial break point. It starts, I believe, at about 11 or 12% health. And when we're looking at percentages, right, on squishier targets, that number matters less and less. But when you're looking at a front line and they're taking all sorts of damage, it's physical damage, it's magic damage. Smolder has it all at some point in the game. He has a lot of mix. He will still be doing mostly physical with his abilities, but he does have a healthy balance of magic damage in there as well. He will rip through an entire team. He is the current pentakill producing machine.
All right, sounds good. So again, just clarifying, so the Colorado School Mines are taking blues, which means they're going to be on this left-hand side, and the refugees are going to be red, taking right-hand side of the screen for us later on, for people like me who are still learning the game, because we come into games like this and we often think, hey, everybody knows exactly what's going on, and you transfer schools and they drop you in the math class and they start talking about algebra and you're thinking, dog, I have not finished multiplication. What do you mean? So I'm going to be asking a lot more questions like that. Apologize if it's kind of redundant for a lot of you guys, but I'm trying to help everybody out by making sure. But hey, spectator delay is done. We can get started. I'm very excited to see.
It's true. So just to clarify, we did have that spectator delay, so we are actually 3 minutes behind the live game.
All right.
So as we get in here, we'll be able to take a peek at those runes, starting items, and early strategies that we might be seeing from the teams here. Looks like the CU Refugees are going to be starting with a very heavy topside presence. As I'm looking at starting items, nothing seems super out of the ordinary, all very standard across the board. Even looking at rune choices, everything is pretty bread and butter. I do want to point out that Olaf is running Ghost in the top lane, not Teleport. So if Ornn actually does manage to do well in this matchup, it could actually be very punishing for Olaf, because he doesn't have access to get back to lane instantly or even make that cross-map presence after 10 minutes when Teleport is unleashed and allows you to teleport to anything, not just a friendly tower.
Okay.
Either way, it looks like we're still seeing
the refugees kind of push in more, and it looks like they're trying to invade, but they don't know where each other at. There's no meeting up here.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are playing. They're playing together, which is obviously what we want to see, right?
Exactly.
But we're doing such an interesting way of that, because School of Mines is actually expecting the invade from the refugees,
Which they're in a sense right, in a sense.
Yeah,
but just the wrong side.
It's the semantics of it got a little complicated. We saw a topside invade, but we were seeing a very defensive bottom side protection for Sejuani. And it looks like both junglers are actually going to be starting leashless here. Nocturne on his Raptors and Sejuani just starting straight up on the red buff. So we'll start seeing that 4-stack ability, like I mentioned earlier. And be I don't think it has a cooldown on large monsters anyway. So she is going to be able to clear that out fairly quickly. Nocturne's going to be making some pretty heavy use of his passive as well. He gets that little twirl, gets a little bit extra health and some damage. So clearing those multiple monster camps is really what he likes to do, and is where he excels in, especially in his first clear.
All right. So in this scenario, it's Smolder is the ADC, and who is their support?
Renata. So full champion name is Renata Glask. She is
Glask.
she is every evil CEO you've ever dreamed of packed into one. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She is the one taking control, taking charge, and is running the show. Despite being put in that support role, she is a large and in charge kind of champion.
And then on the Colorado Refugees, who's their ADC and support?
It's going to be Kaisa and Nautilus. So Nautilus is going to be helping engage for a lot of those team fights. Kaisa has a lot of opportunity to really pop off during a game. She's one of those really kind of flashy AD carries because she's short range. She has a lot of damage. She has a lot of attack speed. She gets upgrades throughout the game that make her Q shoot more missiles. Her W hits harder and refunds cooldown. Her E lets her go invisible briefly.
What?
So she starts becoming a much more slippery champion. It's such a high skill definition or expression champion, especially in those later stages. As we see the Nautilus hook go in, it looks like Lean Speed is going to get hit with some pretty heavy damage, but no sums will be burned from either side. It's just one of those things that as Lean Speed, you kind of say, that really sucks. I have to burn my health potions here. I have to be really careful about getting caught out like that. But as long as you're not dying, you're usually doing okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
As far as other spots on lane, we do see Cookie on the Ahri taking some really heavy damage with a flash from Nico, a first blood, trying to freeze that wave but getting punished so harsh for it. Nico's going to be up about a full wave in CS now, especially with that 400 gold lead. Ahri's going to have to burn a teleport. Now you might say, hey Cyrus, Nico has no flash. Well, Nico's also a kill up and, has teleport themselves. So when we see Nico come back to lane with, a little bit more than just an extra book and maybe a health potion, it's going to be the start of a lead. We're not saying the game's over yet, but it is certainly a good start to the attitude that the Refugees want to have. And it's going to be a flash forward from Nautilus as Nocturne tries to gank that bot lane. However, is Flash and Ghost burn to the side of School of Mines, and Nautilus even missed the hook, which was a little bit awkward when you're trying to make a play like that happen. Nocturne's still going to try and apply some pressure, though, just drive the School of Mines bot lane off the lane. Nautilus, however, is going to hook, and Ignite does not need to go down. Water picks that up with the missile. And it is just a very nice, clean play. We didn't, you don't want to risk your support taking your AD carries kills, and Kaisa is who you want those kills on. You want to invest in that champion because they are your AD carry after all. It's really just, I imagine there's got to be some great communication going on there. Yeah. Saying, hey, I don't need to drop Ignite. Can you hit the W? If you don't hit the W, maybe I can drop the Ignite, and we're still going to get the kill anyway. We just really want to make sure that Water gets that, and Water starts getting that crucial lead.
We're going to go ahead and recall back now, get some health up, and retake the fight again for doing it again. Absolutely.
Especially when you put, one of your opponents in the ground like that and force the other to back. It's really just that it's convenient timing. It's just, you don't want to overstay. You don't want to push your luck too hard. You don't necessarily know where Sejuani is if you're on the side of SCU Refugees. But as we see people coming back into lane, we'll start talking about how those leads are being developed, Okay, yeah, Ahri came back to lane with a book and with an amplifying tome and a sapphire crystal. Well, Nico came back with a Hextech alternator, which is going to be more damage, and it also has a passive of anytime I hit you every 40 seconds, you take a little bit extra damage.
All right.
Really helps keep that pressure up. Down in the bottom lane, we see Water with Noon Quiver, as well as Olaf with a Tiamat. It's going to just help push lanes. But Noon Quiver for Kaisa is probably going to go into something. I'm not entirely sure what the Kaisa build is. Kaisa is such an odd champion. Her build changes constantly depending on what item stats go where, because she needs to hit certain breakpoints to evolve her abilities. I imagine we'll probably see something like Kraken Slayer or maybe even a Static Shiv, but I imagine Kraken Slayer is still going to be pretty bread and butter. It's just is that, there are tons of people who will min-max their Kaisa builds, but Kraken Slayer is just like one of those things where, you go back and it's like going back home to have a home-cooked meal after being away for so long. May not be the most gourmet thing ever, but it's still something something you can trust.
Oh, okay. So I saw this earlier. I saw that, School of Mines had their jungle come down here and already started getting ready for the dragon.
Nocturne's going to be caught out here, but as a team fight breaks out over the first dragon of the game, Water's going to be able to pick up a kill as Ahri goes for as many as she can. It's a double kill for either side as the carries are putting down as much damage as they can. However, Water's going a little low as Ari is trying to put out what damage she can. However, she's out of mana. It's a triple kill for Ari and a triple kill for Kaisa. Both carries are going down. Meanwhile, Area on the Smolder is trying to spit what little sparks he can at the Nautilus. Nautilus just going to have to walk away from that one as, you know, in the long-standing damage game, Smolder, I think, still wins that one out, and Nautilus just, you know, at that point we just say, hey, we got ours, you got yours. You know, let's just give this up for now.
So a better breakdown of Dragon. I recognized it from what you told me earlier, that there used to only just be one Dragon, and now that there's multiple different types with multiple different effects, I see that getting Dragon is an advantageous decision, but I don't necessarily know what's the risk and reward for doing so, other than, of course, your opponents being able to get the kill and then steal Dragon and steal advantage from you, etc. What is the inherent benefit of this current Dragon?
So, current Dragon we're looking at right now is, I believe, Hextech for the first Dragon. Hextech is going to give you a little bit of attack speed and CDR. However, it looks like we're going to see that Olaf putting way too much pressure on the Ornn, forced to flash away under tower in the top lane. But as we see with Hextech Dragon, it gives you a little bit of attack speed and some CDR. You know, it's one of those things right now where first Dragons can be impactful, but they will not be as impactful as anything later on in the game. You know, it's really just kind of, we're looking to progress the game's state. You know, we can't see that terrain change without seeing those dragons get taken. Nautilus is going to land a hook blind in the bot lane. It's going to be a potential catch on Nocturne here in the top lane as the Paranoia goes out. It's going to be the first kill turned around onto the Ornn as Sejuani tries to get some help from Ari here. Ari should be able to pick up double kill here. It's going to be a double kill from Nocturne, though. Ari's forced to flash underneath the tower. Nocturne getting that healing from the Triumph as well as the passive. Ari getting return on the Orb of Deception. However, it's not going to be enough to secure that kill. And it's going to be an unfortunate circumstance for the School of Mines as they were able to get nothing out of it, and 2 kills going over to the CU refugees and securing I would say a much more substantial gold lead. They're actually about 3,000 gold ahead right now. You know, this is kind of, it's kind of going exactly as we were talking about earlier, where, you know, they're securing this early lead, and it's just you know, it's going to put School of Mines in a really rough spot here. They have to be familiar with kind of playing from behind. They have to be careful with making these plays. Depth Charge is going to go out in the bot lane as dive comes out underneath the tower. However, Fiona is not going to get any backup whatsoever. Area able to last hit that one as the tower does most of the work. Renata doesn't even need to sweat.
You can take those kind of risks, and it's going to be, I mean, the reward, the payoff is huge, but just, it's one of those kind of mistakes, man. You made it, and tower came out at you personally. There's not much you can do from that point on. You know,
I can't help but feel as if I caster curse this a little bit. You know, we're talking about, you know, oh, they must have such great communication. While we saw Nautilus drop ult, drop a hook, and go in, and Kaisa and Nocturne were standing there scratching their heads going, dude, what are you doing? Well,
sometimes you kind of auto-assume, too. It's like playing dubs. You start to realize with one another, hey, man, I thought we were kind of on the same page here. I thought, you know, we call it synergy. I thought you and I were both on the same page, that we were both going to push that right there. Like, you can't auto-assume. Sometimes that in teams can almost be worse. Playing with your static so much, you develop the desire to assume you guys are, you know, synced, but you're not. So sometimes the team maybe that doesn't have as much communication is going to actually better perform because they're ready for it. They're more willing to communicate than the people who think they know each other.
Absolutely. You know, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to you can't make assumptions because it makes an ass out of you and me.
You really got to talk with your teammates and make sure you guys are willing to say, was this the right time to take that kind of risk and flip that coin?
100%. And we're going to see some more posturing for Dragon here, as Water may actually get caught out with no support, no tower, has to flash forward to dodge the ultimate. However, ultimate's coming out left and right. Paranoia, mom from Smolder as the hostile takeover makes red team just auto each other to death. Smolder's going to be able to pick up shutdown. He's going to go 2-0-3. It's still a lead gold-wise for the refugees, but it's these plays you have to be really careful of. Ari's going to try and make an aggressive play as Lean Speed's going to be able to take down Fiona. However, the Pop Blossom from Nico is going to send 3 up into the air with not much other than a little bit of damage to show for it. And we're still, look, I mean, this is all posturing just for, largely for this objective. I'm not going to say just because, you know, we're obviously talking kills here and money. But, you know, this is all happening because we're looking for these bot lane objectives as we're looking to put some pressure on Nico, but Nico is just going to be able to throw that clone out and walk safely back to tower. But it's these bot side objectives that we're going to see so much attention on here because we're really looking at the stars of the show being Kaisa and Smolder. Kaisa actually doing a really good job there. I want to point out that as hairy as that play was, Kaisa did not die. We still have a 400 gold shutdown on the 80 carry, which is going to be a 700 gold kill when that finally goes over. But that actually, the kill has to happen first. That's really what we're looking at here. So, making split-second decisions like flashing forward to avoid the ultimates and then still managing to get back and get that help of your team to get under tower and start pumping out that damage was just such an insane play from Water. It really, really impresses me to show how quick we are on the draw with that one.
So, what we're taking over... trying to get ready to take this area. What monster's going to come up? It's not Void. Void Grubs are still there.
Monsters are the ones being fought over right now as we saw the Ornn ultimate come out. However, it's going to be a shutdown on the Ahri. Olaf picking that one up with the CC immune. He's going to pop the Ghost, running down Sejuani. He wants that pork dinner. It's going to be a double kill as he looks for Goat next with the Ornn. However, Paranoia is going to come out and Bowslaw and Jungle is going to football tackle Ornn from way down the field, and it's going to be a free set of grubs. Yeah, it's going to be some exotic bug snacks.
We're going to see Smolder finally come up and join the party here. Maybe able to kind of get some pressure off. Wait for the rest of their team to come back.
Lean Speed looking to be what little front line they can be. However, Pop Lobs is going to catch both as Lean Speed has to force the W onto themselves and will die as a result. However, Ahri's here to back up Smolder, and it is going to be a poke off. Smolder and Ahri have plenty of opportunities to take this fight here because all of CU is so low. It's a shutdown. It's a 1, 2, and 3 for Ahri. It's a triple kill, and what we thought was an easy set of grubs turns out to be an easy set of 3 deaths going over to Ahri, and it's just insane to see how much fighting we're seeing in this game.
Goodness. They're just trading. They're just trading rolls.
It's like I'm watching a Michael Bay film. That's nonstop explosions and action. There's really just no time to rest. I'm barely able to elaborate on one point by the time I hear horns and dragons and booms and bams and paranoias and lights turned off and everything is just going insane. And even still, right, I mean, we have Water pushing a lane solo. However, Wild West Wild is going to be able to put on some pressure as the bot lane for School of Mines comes in, and Water is trying to get out, but there's no hope in a 1 versus 4, and that crucial 700 gold kill goes over to Smolder. We are feeding that little baby dragon so much gold, so much money. He is going to be coming out strong in the mid game.
Spyro's hungry, man. He needs that gold. He's get that in. Taking over control now. They got Dragon. Most likely we're going to be able to clear a dragon now.
Oh, there's no way. There should almost be no way.
There's no way.
But there's been lots of fighting, but when you have 4 out of 5 members of your team on a dragon, no obvious contest, the refugees are going to say, hey, okay, fine, we'll give this one over. Rift Herald is up. We're going to just go trade objective for objective. It's what we call handshaking.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You go ahead and have the dragon. We're going to go ahead and take care of it.
Exactly. And we'll see.
Oh my God!
Really greedy.
Just pushing right past tower, not even counting.
Mouse is actually trying to go for the execute here, but it's going to be a really tough bit as Paranoia has to be popped. I'm not sure why we're not trying to go for the execute, but it's going to be a free kill for Sejuani. Some really interesting positioning there. I think Bowslaw was probably just trying to deny Sejuani some of her own camps. Maybe look for a steal angle. But speaking of steal, we're looking to steal some money out of Ornn's pocket as he gets put under so much pressure from the Olaf and the Nautilus. He is going to be able to... Oh, no 1-for-1 there. Olaf does not take the extra tower shot. If you're Ornn here, you're just like, you really just gotta remind yourself,
sure.
I'm playing patient. I really, this is a bad matchup. I just need to scale. I just need to farm well. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not, it's kind of like the middle child, right? You get forgotten in some cases. But until Ornn comes out and has that crucial break point to start upgrading people's items, he really is just going to be kind of the punching bag for the CU refugees.
We're a bit behind right now, and what's happening now is that roles aren't really being played anymore. It's not necessarily that Smolder's worried about being in the ADC anymore, going to do what they got to do. Why is that? Why is it that people towards later games start to kind of abandon their traditional roles and go where need be?
So this is just kind of part of the natural flow of the game. When we pick our lanes, we pick a specific role, and that will usually entail a certain champion pool as well as certain roles. 80 carry is still going to play is played in the bottom lane, but they are the 80 carry. Their grandstanding role, their vision for the game is to be able to pump out damage and carry the game. So when we see lane phase end like this, we're looking at the first 15 minutes of the game. We don't necessarily need to keep our 80 carry in the bottom lane anymore. We're trying to we want to apply pressure elsewhere on the map, so that way we have access to the rest of the map. Or take down towers. Towers equals money. Towers equals access to more of the enemy side of the map.
Yeah.
So it's all just part of this natural ebb and flow of the game as we're looking to say, hey, we want this guy here. We're looking at objective timers. We're looking at saying, okay, we don't need to worry about dragon right now. Maybe we can move some pressure onto the top side of the map.
So when you were talking about towers, I've noticed that refugees have both avoided towers multiple times. I think like 3 times they just kind of run past tower. They're not worried about taking it down. They're very aware that they don't have minions, no one to block it, and they're just kind of running past tower. What's the advantage of doing that? Because otherwise, when you turn around inevitably, or you have to come back the second time, that tower's still going to be there.
Typically speaking, there's not so much of an advantage per se, but when you're initiating tower dives, it's less about the tower and more killing the opponent that's under the tower. As we see, Ornn getting bullied in these kinds of scenarios, he's going to be able to protect his tower. He has the ability to clear waves pretty well. He doesn't have to worry about too much other than just playing the game for a while and, getting to a point where he can say, hey, here's your upgrades, go away. I'll be your beefcake in a fight later on, but for now I need to have my experience and my gold to be able to do my job the best I can for you later. We're not getting a tower does have some pretty obvious implications, right? I mean, neither mid tower has gone down. So if you look at kind of where we're able to access on the map, we have the first tower going down for School of Mines. They actually have they have less of a safety net per se to play forward on that bottom side of the map. In case they're worried about somebody getting caught, if they're sending somebody solo. Speaking of getting caught solo, though, Mom's going to come in a little late as Cookie Doge the dog goes on a rampage, and Riftail gets dropped on the top lane. Ornn's going to try and do what he can. However, Paranoia's going to get dropped down. He's going to start taking tons of damage as Bofia Bunny is able to use that true damage to land the final blow onto the Ornn. Riftail's going to do a little bit more damage to the tower. However, it is going to be a trade of objectives as Ahri's looking to teleport to save Tier 1 top, as the rest of the team is looking to knock down that first tower in the mid lane.
Is this something to do with us as spectators? But I don't notice that there's plates on the towers.
Plates drop off after 14 minutes. Plates were a way to kind of keep people from taking towers too early, but if you were able to have a strong presence early, Riot was trying not to punish people for playing well, so they added tower plates as kind of this incentive of, hey, if you take too many of these early, it's going to be harder to knock this tower down. Not impossible, but it's also going to reward the person who's able to get those plates with a little bit extra pocket money.
All right, fair enough. But, so now it's only when the tower's fully destroyed like that right there. Olaf just took that turn, so it's going to be now he gets gold for that, not plates.
So you do just get global gold for killing the tower. Plates are a temporary thing. It's to keep those snowballs from happening too fast, to keep you from losing the game in 5 minutes per se. It's going to be another fight as the pop boss only catches 1. Mom's going to hit 2 though as Smolder comes in with the catch, and it's going to be lots of damage going on to Nico as Fiona tries to peel as best he can. Zhonya's is going to come out for Nico's. The hostile takeover is going to hit 1 and 2. Leanspeed going to be able to take the kill credit for Symptomatic Link. However, Ahri's going to go unstoppable, kicking out Nautilus with the rest of the CU refugees unable to do anything. And this is exactly what they don't want to happen. We had such a good look early game. However, we started getting kills on Ahri. We started getting kills on Smolder. Look at the kill distribution for the blue team here. They are going absolutely insane, putting the kills where they need to be for their team. They have the most gold investment in the best places they're able to really throw them, so their carries are the ones able to hit these 2-3 item spikes before even 25 minutes. Smolder and Ahri are going to deal so much damage. They have so much backup that even trying to take Baron here is going to look like a massive desperation play, and it just takes one Ornn, one Ram from his Call of the Forge God to get the CU refugees off of it, because Nocturne's way too low, and by that time, right, backup's on its way.
Very nice. There's just so much. It's so much at so many times. I'm trying to understand the logic behind the decisions, the builds they're going for, the stacking. Why are they meeting in mid now? Why are they going to push now? Stuff like that. They just took Dragon. How is that going to change the pace of what's happening from this point on?
Well, so second Dragon is actually one of the more crucial points in the game, right? I'm talking to you earlier about like this ebb and flow. Second Dragon is where we see the terrain change. Well, we have the Chemtech Dragon now, so there's more plants. They do extra things. Chemtech Dragon is going to be the soul, so the first team to hit 4 dragons is going to get a much larger buff for the rest of the game. As well as just, those little minor buffs that dragons themselves will give. So when we talk about Chemtech Soul, I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about the plants mostly. The vegetation, the fauna, the flora, rather. We see honey fruits get upgraded. They no longer slow you down when you eat them, but they also give you a shield when you eat them. So it's a little bit.
Wait, you're
extra
talking about the
support.
cabbages?
Yep. Those little pineapples that we see sprouting.
I've
throughout the
always
rift.
called them cabbages. They did not look like honey fruit. They didn't look like pineapples to me at all. On Earth, I've been calling those wrong.
So yeah, those give you some extra survivability. Scryer's blooms, the big cone, show you where the other guys are.
Check out and see if there's any kind of like what are those called? Lenses
for vision and wards.
Yes, wards.
Those get upgraded. Those hit a larger area. If you run in the direction they pop, you move faster. And any wards they reveal are put down to 1 health automatically. So it makes it much easier to clear the vision. Speaking of vision, Bowslaw's going to get caught out. Paranoia's going to get dropped down, and Mom's going to come in. However, Cookie Doge the God is going to hit him with the Thunder Strike from that Storm Surge, and is going to be dominating. It is an unfortunate catch, as Sejuani's going to land the next one, followed by the turn from the Ari. It's going to be damage on damage, as Pop Blossom only catches one. Depth charge from the Nautilus won't be able to do a whole lot here. Symptomatic Lick is going to desperately try and get under tower. Both the remaining damage dealers for CU Refugees unable to do anything, as Nautilus cannot do anything on his own. The amount of pressure being applied here by School of Mines is insane. Smolder is their win conditions. Ari is part of their win condition. And both are doing so well in this game right now is absolutely insane. They have essentially full control right now, despite the gold lead looking really even.
Yeah.
There is such it's a difference in attitude, right? As we look, Nico's going to get caught by a charm. Area's unstoppable. The Thunder Strike is going to help finish that one off. However, Smolder is going to be able to start hitting those execution points very soon. It's going to be a desperation play as Olaf tries to ghost and Ragnarok forward looking for the Smolder. However, he's only going to be able to get halfway there before the shutdown goes over to him. And at this point, we're just throwing our wallets at Smolder. He's not coming up to you in an alley. It's like watching your favorite celebrity come out and you're like, oh my God, take my money, take my firstborn baby.
Oh
That's
my
what we're
God,
doing with
Jim
Smolder
Carrey,
right
it's
now.
you.
Exactly. Smolder is the talk of the town right now, and he is going to be strutting his stuff for the remainder of the game. He's not even at that massive breakpoint I mentioned earlier. He's just so far ahead right now that he's hitting him with his wallet right now, and then eventually he'll start being able to hit him with the rest. It's going to be a dive from Nocturne over them. The Ornal misses. It's too late. Ari's going to go godlike in return, though, as even though Ari's going to go down to the Nocturne here, it's still going to be a 1-for-1. I imagine School of Mines probably has to look for Baron here. They have their jungler. CU Refugees does not. So there's almost no chance of a steal here. Not to say that there can't be one. We love moments like that, but it is going to be...
little sneak of smites right there could just be that thing that changes the whole game.
Absolutely. Baron's being burnt down. CU Refugees are looking for some sort of angle, anything they can get. Nocturne isn't even up yet. However, it's going to be another play trying to be dropped as the Baron is attempted to be stopped, and we're looking to try and get any kill we can on the Area. Area, however, is going to get dove by Olaf, has to flash over the wall and run away from as much as he can. The CC immunity did run out as it's a double kill for the Smolder. Water's going to be able to get one in return, though, onto the Renata, and the Baron is still very low. Nocturne's not going to be anywhere near close enough to get that one, though. Water's going to be taken down by Cookie Doge the God. And it's going to be a very, very good Baron for Colorado School of Mines, as they have 4 members up. However, it might be 3 as Nocturne looks to take another one out. Ornn getting caught out, clearing a little bit of vision.
Was that just a call out, or did he knew?
I believe because he was clearing out a ward and wasn't using a scanner. He might have been clearing out a control ward. Nocturne had vision of him, so that's why he was able to torpedo on him.
I thought he just fully called him out. I thought he fully called him out. I was like, you're insane.
As we are at about 25 minutes into the game, I want to point out Smolder's stacks right now. So I did mention earlier, 275 was the final threshold for Smolder. He's hit tiers 1 and 2 before this. He's at 266 right now and should be able to hit this fight unless he goes down. Cookie Doge the God's going to get caught up pretty hard here. However, Mom's going to be able to provide a little bit of backup as Cookie will be able to get away with their life. Area's just trying to put out whatever bits and globs of fire he can, get those final 3 stacks to hit that execution threshold. Dragon is going to be still going to have a weak contest from CU Refugees, but it is going to be a secure for Colorado School of Mines, putting them on soul points and almost at a 4-0 sweep on Dragons.
School of Mines does not let the Refugees take any objectives. They said, these are ours, we own these, come back tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It's been clean how much they've been taking towers, how they've been taking objectives. Boom, another tower down. They've just been so good at coordinating their decisions to charge in and say, when are we going to take this?
Well, absolutely, and they've done a really good job staying together. You know, we're not leaving any member alone for too long. You know, if we're putting anybody in the side lane, we're usually doing a pretty good job of making sure they have somebody to shadow them to help with that with the backup as soon as we can. You know, we're saving things like teleport to help get into fights, or at least make sure we're not going to be caught out. But we're just doing such a good job of playing Protect the President on side of Colorado
Is
School of
Smolder
Mines.
the president?
Absolutely.
Yeah, win condition. Let's go, Smolder. You said this is post nerf though, right?
Yes. At this point, it matters a little less because Smolder was just meant to hit his break point a little later. But he has hit that break point at this point, and even though some of those later game scalings aren't going to be as powerful, they are still going to be powerful because he's meant to be a late game scaling champion.
Right, yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about at the beginning, is that if the refugees don't push enough, if they don't take enough risk, if they don't power through enough, and you let this get to the late game, Smolder's not going to let you, there's nothing you can do. You've let him stack, you've let him build up. This is where we are now.
It's going to be more stacks. Coming down for Smolder. His mom gets called in to help start the fight. Area going legendary onto the Nico. It's really just any slight misstep from the CU refugees here just is punished so hard because we have all sorts of ways to catch them out. And you know, even though Baron buff has worn out at this point, it doesn't matter. You know, you have Sejuani able to threaten so much. You got lean speed on the Renata, able to provide so much protection, even a little bit of catch potential.
Insane to see the Smolder doing 10, 0, and 8. That's incredible. They've just been killing it.
Well, even if we look at some of the gold distribution here per player, you know, let's take a look, right? You know, I've mentioned so much that Smolder and Ari are the real stars of the show for the Colorado School of Mines. You look at Smolder; he's at about 14,500 gold just on his own. Yep. The poorest person on the team is a support is Renata with 8,000, and you know it's just such a great distribution of money. You know, Smolder is almost at full build. Really, he's just looking for one more item, maybe even going for a 6th item if the game gets to that point. But it's just such it's just such a treat to see how well we can see that level of teamwork be put through. Miko Clone is going to be the one that gets caught out as Cookie has to back up from an aggressive play. Symptomatic Link able to get a kill in return as Nocturne drops the Paranoia, and damage is coming out from Colorado School of Mines, but they're not able to actually finish anything, which is such a surprise given how hard they've been able to just drop people 100-0 instantly from other spots in the game. I'm not entirely sure if they just wanted to let the fight go. It just strikes me as a little awkward, I suppose.
See them pull back just complete.
There we go, another Orin item being upgraded.
Against Nocturne. We're going to see that Smolder takes Nocturne. And that's going to clear out top lane for them. Looking nice, safe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Nocturne probably thought he was him. Nocturne was not him. Smolder is him. You don't...
Man, look how fast he just takes tower down in seconds. And they're go ahead and channel back and get back to base. Smolder's probably going to buy out the last of their gear. Like, Smolder has been the star of the show. Just like you said it was, star of the show.
100%. And speaking of stars, Ari's going to take a little bit of pressure from Olaf down on the bot lane. Damage is going to be returned in kind as Ari still has one more charge of that Spirit Rush. It's going to be a flash forward as the CC immunity runs out. Bofia has the Stair Escapes to get a little bit extra survivability, but it's not going to be enough as the shields come out and Ari is actually able to come in from base.
He just needed a little quick kill. He said, let me get this. Let me get a high enough number at the end of the set.
He's just padding stats at this point. I mean, we're really looking to finish out that Zhonya's Hourglass. Looks like it's going to be the last item for Smolder. By the way, I just want to point out how ridiculous this Smolder build is. It's very bread and butter for what Smolder does. The fact that Smolder can get away with building all of these items, have a little bit of extra health, have a little bit extra range for poke with the rapid fire cannon, and then still be able to build Zhonya's Hourglass for a free stasis, you know, almost a get out of jail free card, is just absolutely insane. I mean, you know, he does not rely so much on his items as his kit is just so insane, allowing him to get all this execute, all this extra damage. About anything he can stand, really, as we're looking to start Baron number 2 for the side of Colorado School of Mines. Teleport going to come in from Nico on the back line, though. His Baron's going down. 4, 3, 2, 1,000. It's going to be going in. Red Team steals the Baron! It's going to be a massive pot blossom as the Link takeover comes in. Mom's going to be able to help, though. But Smolder is just too powerful. As the CU School of Mines says, you take the Baron, we take your team.
Was that worth it?
No.
Like,
in no world.
That's
is
what I'm
this worth
saying. Like, I don't understand. Like, good on Nocturne for pushing in there and taking that kill, but it can't be worth how much you just sacrificed your team. Look at this late game. These spawns, you're just giving them the other objective of Dragon. There's no way you can stop them.
We're seeing all of these longer spawn timers. We're seeing the last dragon being given away to the Colorado School of Mines.
They took in 5 of 5 dragons.
I mean, a 4-0 sweep is always the cleanest thing you can get for a dragon. It means that, the enemy team doesn't have any of those buffs coming in. You do still have to worry about Elder now being an objective. But it doesn't matter that Baron got stolen. I think really I think what Baron getting stolen here for the refugees is a last gasp. It doesn't allow School of Mines to close out the game. It gives them just a little bit more time.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So that they can kind of just say, fine, you're in our base now. You've broken our towers. You're in here now with us. We're going to defend our home. But it doesn't give them enough to really let them push back.
And it doesn't matter when Mom comes into the picture. Area is still legendary, having never died. Cookie Dough's a god. You're going to be able to kill some dramatic leap before the Pop Blossom pops off. And it's just going to be more pressure onto the tower as they are knocking on the front door of Sea Refugee's base. The Baron minions coming out are going to be able to slow things down just a little bit, but when you have 2 waves of minions coming in, one of them being super minions, and a full team able to put pressure on you like this, it is really, we're looking at just a bare gasp. And even still, it's going to be another kill from Smolder as the burn executes Kaisa. Oh, the Forge God's going to go down as Olaf tries to make the play he can, driving Area, but Area still does not have the Zanyas, and still takes out Olaf for a triple kill as the Nexus turrets 1 and 2 go down. Nexus is going to fall shortly, and we are going to see a massive, perfect execution of the game plan from Colorado School of Mines. There was a good shot from Sea Refugees at the very beginning, but the game plan from the Colorado School of Mines was to go long, and go long they did.
That was beautiful. As someone who doesn't fully understand the game, and you guys might not fully get it too, we don't see every unique, intricate detail, but we see how incredible these players are. I mean, of course we can shine the light on Smolder, but let's look at Smolder's team. The Colorado School of Mines stuck together, and they did beautiful. I mean, the way they executed everything together, they know what they're doing. They've synchronized.
Absolutely. It's just such an amazing display of teamwork.
That's that fusion dance. They got it perfect. Good to see that.
Alrighty, everybody. So I am joined by Cookie Dough, the Ari from last game. You guys had such an amazing composition. I really loved how that looked.
Yeah.
I think you guys basically played Protect the President perfectly.
Yes.
And it really helped that you were able to pop off yourself. I'll just ask the stupid question. Is this a comp you guys have really worked on before?
So, idea, not the same champs before, but the idea of playing around hard bot lane, early drags if we can, or just scaling up through bot lane, so ADC and mid, and then just playing either bruisers or tanks in top. So we can kind of play that Protect the President style, as you mentioned, and just win through that.
Absolutely, and when you're faced with a more dive-heavy comp like the Refugees,
Yes.
it really starts to show a limelight for what you guys are able to do. Most often we've seen Smolder paired with things that are a little bit more aggressive. He's super weak early. I'm sure you've seen plenty of instances where Smolder's been 0-10 in 30 minutes. He comes out and smacks you, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I guess obviously Renata helps enable hyper carries like that, but was there any concern picking something that was going to be a little weaker, especially into something like the Nautilus?
So we were a little worried about early game Nautilus hooks, but we're also very comfortable on Smolder and Renata as champions for our team. So I think we were also very confident going into that we know how to play into it. I think we were a little worried on our lack of damage topside with Ornn and Sejuani. We knew that Olaf was going to be a bit of an issue throughout the game, but I think we played well around that.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. Is there any kind of closing words you'd like to offer to your opponents, anyone watching? Any shout-outs even?
Yeah, shout out to Area on the Smolder. Crazy player, crazy well played. Shout out Boulder. I mean, this is our second time playing them. We lost the first time. Glad we could get it the win the second time.
So we're going for a best of 3 then, it looks like.
Yeah, next locals tournament, we'll be here. We'll be ready.
Thank you for coming on air. It's been a pleasure watching and a pleasure speaking with you.
Same here.